In continuing my series on dance forms, I will be spending the next few videos outlining the most important dance forms that constitute the core components of the Baroque suite. These forms are the Allemande, Courante, Sarabande, Gavotte, and Gigue. And usually a Baroque suite is written exactly in this order. However, these videos also mark a special occasion, as I am releasing them in conjunction with the release of my composition Baroque Suite for two violins in C minor on iTunes. A few years back, I wrote the aforementioned Baroque Suite for two violins as a way of practicing Baroque dance forms. I'm the sort of person who believes in learning by doing, and while I had superficially gained through school and by playing Bach a basic knowledge of Baroque forms, I never felt as if I had truly understood Baroque dance forms. To remedy this, I took it upon myself to write my own Baroque suite. But in a departure from my usual need to try and find my own musical voice, I opted to keep things strict and write the suite in a late Baroque, early Rococo style. To me, this piece was initially meant as merely a personal exercise in form. But to my pleasant surprise, I was quite content with the result, and finally, after many years, I've been able to get this piece of mine recorded. Many thanks to Michaela Schutz and Karina Ille for taking their time to practice and record the piece. The link to purchase the EP and sheet music are in the description. In this first video, we will be looking at the dance form known as the Allemande, which is usually the opening piece of a Baroque suite. The only exception to this is the difference between the English and French suite. In an English suite, the usual opening Allemande is preceded by an opening prelude, while the French suite begins simply with an Allemande. The Allemande was a popular dance that most likely originated during the Renaissance in Germany, thus the name Allemande, which is French for German. The dance is slow in tempo and written in 4/4 time. So what are the formulaic rules to follow when writing an Allemande, besides it being slow and in 4/4 time? Well, an Allemande must always begin with a short upbeat. I'd say that the upbeat should not exceed 3/16 notes in length. However, the most common upbeats I've seen for Allemandes is just 1/16 note. This is usually Bach's preference, although I have seen on rare occasion Bach opt for 3/16 notes, but never anything longer. An Allemande must also be divided into two equal parts, each of which repeat. This is called binary form, and is represented simply by A-B. This is the simplest musical form, and is mapped out as such. If your piece is in a major key, the first part A repeats, after which it more often than not modulates to the dominant in the B section, where after an unspecified period of time it modulates back to the original key, after which the B section is then repeated again. In a minor piece, the B section either modulates to the relative major or the dominant. In the case of the Allemande, the B section almost always modulates to the dominant, whether the piece is in major or minor. To achieve this modulation seamlessly, the A section should end on the dominant, so that the B section can begin in the dominant without it being jarring to the listener. Differing and second endings should be avoided, as they are not necessary when one follows these rules. The Allemande must also end the A and B section on an unstressed beat. This is sometimes referred to as a female ending, so thus a male ending would be on a stressed beat. For the Baroque composer, the only stressed beat in 4/4 time was the first beat. Everything else was technically unstressed. But the general rule of thumb is to end each section of the Allemande on the third or fourth beat. It should also be taken into account that the B section should somewhat mirror the musical material of the A section. It shouldn't be the case that the B section is wildly different in its musical sound. So let's run over everything again. An Allemande is slow in tempo, in 4/4 time, has a quick upbeat, is written in binary form, the A and B section should be of equal length, and each section should have a female ending. If you follow these rules, you should have no trouble in writing your own Allemande. Although I personally opted for an older style when writing my own Allemande, there is no reason why you can't bend the rules in order to adopt the Allemande to a fresher and more modern style. But I always think it's best to learn the rules before you break them. There's nothing more insufferable than an ignorant dilettante who breaks rules because they never bothered to learn the rules in the first place. If, however, you know the rules and then break them, then you had a reason to do so, which is always an intellectually superior foundation to stand on. Stay tuned for the next video, where I will be going over the Courante. And don't forget to check out my own suite, linked in the description below.